We got some awesome questions lined up, so post yours down below and let's get started. High volume pike push-ups or handstand push-ups for cap shoulders. My friend, this is one of the secrets of bodyweight training and getting bigger shoulders. The pike push-up, specifically off a deficit now, where your feet may be elevated and you're doing it off some parallettes, will build amazing shoulders naturally. It's an incredible exercise that every single one of you should try out, either at the beginning of your workout or at the end for an absolute finisher. In fact, when I first got my home gym, before doing that, I was contemplating not even getting certain equipment because I realized that the pike push-up was that good. Just doing it for high freaking volume. And I mean like high repetitions. And for the handstand push-up, I've always found that balance has been a big issue for me, and I think that others experience the same issues. So it's not necessarily a strength problem, it's just a form and the balance. So I've always preferred doing it off a wall. And again, use parallettes to increase the range of motion, or you could do it with your hands off some blocks, all right? So in my opinion, if you do it that way, it's a great mass builder. And an awesome technique you could try out is rest pause. Absolutely brutal with handstand push-ups. So yes, if you did pike and handstand, you can get great shoulders without even having to do overhead press, real talk. What do you think about changing the time of day of your workout to avoid the biological law of accommodation? Don't think it would work, man. You're not really manipulating the parameters that much. Like, you have to modify the sets and reps, percentages, or the exercises. Just changing the time of day, why would that do anything different? Like, maybe you're getting a little bit less recovered or a little bit more recovered, but I don't see it being this major game changer. In my opinion, it's better to be consistent with your timing. So if you're used to benching at nighttime, don't just randomly bench in the morning one day. It might actually increase your chance of injury because you're not used to doing it. And you'll feel weaker if you've never trained early before. So the way that I see it, be consistent with your training schedule in terms of when you're going to work out, and you'll get the best gains possible. The idea of overriding the biological law of accommodation through changing the time at which you train, that's going to work that effectively. How should one deal with major drops, reps-wise, and latter sets of the workout? For example, do 13 pull-ups on first set, 8 on second, and when it comes to the fifth, I can only do 5, etc. Okay, that's pretty normal for a lot of people, especially when it comes down to pull-ups. They're a challenging exercise after all. What I can tell you, well, for a first-line defense, is to increase the rest intervals. So if you're only resting a minute or two, increase it to 3. And I guarantee you that you'll get more repetitions. And if that's not enough, put it to 4 or 5 minutes between sets. Problem solved. Now that said, if you're able to do 13 pull-ups in one set, that's pretty good. Now in your case, you already have some pretty good strength. Okay, this is decent base level stuff, right? What you can do is include weighted pull-ups, but just lower the volume a little bit. So you could do 3 sets of 3, ramping triples, ramping 5s, even doing the 1 rep max, which probably don't need at this stage, but if you can't do a lot of reps after each set, just cut the volume back and build your strength in a different way. And you'll find that as you get stronger at the weighted stuff, it's easier to rep out your body weight without even having to train for it, okay? So my advice is to start doing some more ramping sets and try some back off sets as well, because in this case, it doesn't really matter what your performance is like on the subsequent sets. So definitely try that out. I'm also going to recommend greasing the groove and even doing stuff like 3 sets of 1 or 5 sets of 1, because you'll be able to get a lot of reps in that are consistent. Perfect form every time, and fatigue's not going to be an issue here. So that's my advice for the pull-up. I know you wanted more of a general answer in reference to other movements, but since you mentioned pull-ups, I decided to keep it specific to that topic. Okay, this guy's 5'3", 15 years old, underweight, has 11 inches on his neck, and he's wondering how much bigger it can grow. Okay, dude, you're a complete beginner, man. Like, your potential is probably much higher than you even realize. Like, it's so early to tell. Like, how do you want me to make any assessments when you're a complete noob? Like, you're brand new to training, man. You don't have any base whatsoever. You don't have any weaknesses. Your entire body is weak, rather, okay? So right now, the question is not, oh, how much bigger can my neck get? No, like, you're seriously underweight, and 11 inches is very, very, very skinny. So you got to focus on putting on some weight overall and building strength and size and general areas. Like, you gotta hop on my Novice program or any other type of routine that's very basic in nature and ramp that weight up, and understand that you're only 15 years old, okay? And your height's probably gonna upgrade as well. That's a good thing. And your structure will change as you go through puberty. Like, this is the beginning stages, and for me to make an assessment like this, it's way too early. Now, if you were to tell me, hey Alex, I've been training for 6 months and my bench is 2 plates, Where do you think my potential lies? Well, now I can give you a more accurate answer. Like, bro, you got good genetics, but you never trained before. You're a complete novice, like literally the most beginner level you could think of. And you're asking me how much bigger can my neck get? Well, with time, you could probably hit 18 inches, but right now, you got no base. And that's what takes priority. So I think you're focusing on the wrong things, my friend. Enjoy the process, put in that hard work, and run a basic knowledge program while upping the calories, and you'll be just fine, okay? So you can worry about your neck size later. Hey man, I started a 3-day 5x5 routine about a month ago. I've noticed that my arms have gotten smaller. Can I add direct work on the off days? I'm a novice lifter in terms of strength, if that helps. Thanks, man. I appreciate all your effort. Well, my friend, that happens to a lot of people who run minimalist routines that never isolate your arms. This is, man, it's unfortunate that you had to experience it. But you know what? At least now you know what you got to do. So what's my advice? Definitely 100% you want to isolate your arms. Hit some push downs and maybe some curls at the end of your routine. Done deal. It doesn't have to be every workout either. One of the workouts could be a close grip bench. The next workout could be an extension, okay? And you can alternate between chin-ups and curls, for example. So it doesn't have to be like super high up there on the frequency. But these guys who say never isolate your arms, just do the compound movements. Wow. What a disservice. I can't believe that people are actually promoting this. Never isolate your arms, only do compounds. I don't subscribe to that advice for one fucking second. And there's a lot of people actually, even at the advanced level, who got rid of the isolations. And even though they got stronger at the compounds, guess what? Their arms got smaller in size. Great example is Steve Shaw, just so you know. And there's many other cases. Fact is, if you want the biggest arms possible, optimal gains here, you have to isolate your fucking arms. Period. End of discussion. This is always going to be the case. I don't care what fucking study you reference me. I don't care who you mention. Isolation work is mandatory for optimal arm gains. Not good enough, not big, but the biggest, okay? So, you've experienced it right now, and you're only a fucking novice. Imagine if you were intermediate or advanced and you stopped doing this. So, yeah, re-include that isolation work. Don't listen to these minimalists. Fuck them. Hi, is it true that training with strictly bands will not make you stronger? That's not true at all. Let's say you can only do 3 sets of 8 to 12 with a mini band on the face pull. Then eventually you bring that up to 15 repetitions. Then you're doing 3 sets of 20. Next thing you know, that mini band is super light. Well, what do? You increase to a monster mini band. And then maybe that gets too easy. You increase to a light band. Next thing you know, you're doubling. So what just occurred here? Progressive overload. As long as you're getting stronger at that particular exercise with the bands, well, by definition, you're getting stronger. I think you're talking about carryover here, right? Well, carryover is not the end-all be-all. I already made a video on that. Carryover is not the answer, okay? It really isn't. If you're making strength gains, that's all that counts, okay? So if you're doing the landmine press and you take it from 3 plates to 5 plates, you're going to get bigger and stronger. I mean, you did get stronger. It's definitive. You did. But it might not have the best carryover to another exercise, okay? So I think what you're asking me is, if I do exclusively band work, like nothing else, will my free weights go up as good? Probably not. Like, it's all about specificity of training, okay? So you'll get better at that what you train. And if you're not doing any straight weight whatsoever, exclusively bands, so maybe like just band overhead presses. Like, I'm not talking about mixing bands and straight weight because that would actually work. No, you're talking about using exclusively bands 100%. Well, it's the same thing as asking, what if I only did cables? It'd be the same. Let's say you never did free weights, only cables, only machines. Would you have the best carryover? Probably not. But guess what? If you increased the weight on the cable stack, you got stronger and you got bigger. So I think a lot of these guys get way too caught up in the concept of carryover when it's not mandatory. It's not the most important thing. What matters is long-term progression, progressive overload, okay? And how you look in the mirror, obviously. Alex, how's your transition into waking up early? Horrible. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever attempted. It's really, 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 really difficult for me. I'm struggling big time. And most days I failed, I'll be honest with you. It's fucking hard. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep trying. It's just like my body doesn't want to wake up that early. It just doesn't. It wants to sleep in. It's more tired. It's like I need that recovery. I need that rest. And it's like waking up early. I've never been a morning person. But I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying, man. I'm going to get it eventually. I will. I will. But it's been very, very, very difficult. And whenever I do that, you can see it in some of the videos. I had a few guys tell me, Alex, are you all right, man? Your eyes, like, when you see me in that state, when you see me, like, you know, talking a bit slowly and all that, I probably didn't sleep well the night before. Okay? And that's why, like, it's hard. Because Even going to bed early is something that I struggle with. I have energy like all the time. I have energy at nighttime. I'm fully awake. And I've written my best work at nighttime. I wrote my books at nighttime, just so you know, okay? I've always been a night owl, if you will. Like, I thrive in the night. That's when I feel alive, even training at night. I mean, everything about me, my senses, I'm just so tuned in. I feel on top of the world at night. I just do. But I don't know if this is because of habit, because I've been doing it for so long. But I am trying to correct this, man. I'm trying to do this army style, waking up super early. Like, I want to be getting up at 4:30, 5 a.m. on a daily basis. When you're sleeping a little bit past that point, it's probably not the best for your discipline and productivity, all right? And plus, you have a mental edge over the rest of the world that's probably still sleeping in. So I'm still working on it, and I will succeed. But it's not easy. It's very fucking hard. What are your top 2 yoking exercises? I'm running a 3-day program and want to throw into 2 exercises to help me get yoked. I would have to say the rack pull above the knee and power shrug. Now, if you find those to be too similar, well, then just do a power shrug and a cheat row. Problem solved, okay? And you could use a bunch of different variations for that. In fact, maybe on your 3-day week setup, Monday you can do heavy shrugs, Friday you can do volume shrugs, same style, right? And then Wednesday, maybe you could do light shrugs without the cheating. You know what I'm saying? So that's a pretty good option right there. And then the cheat rows, use different styles, okay? T-bar row, regular barbell row, maybe even on the machines if your lower back's a little bit tight, but that's what I would say, all right? Those are my top 3, but you can pick 2 if you want. Alex, this gym rat in my gym keeps making fun of my full body workouts. He claims training chest and back the same day is bad. What's a good answer to his claims? Greetings from Greece. Why do you care what this guy says? Does it change anything in your life? Like, I mean, you're still doing the workouts and you're going to proceed with it because it's working for you and ultimately you will succeed, right? So who cares what this person says? At some point, you're going to have serious results. He'll see it. And at that point, he's no longer going to be criticizing you. Rather, he will ask, what did you do to build that body? And when you tell him that it was a chest and back workouts that apparently you're not supposed to do, he's going to be there in silence. So don't pay attention to these people. Like, who the fuck is this guy? Is he some type of champion? Is he generally trying to help you? Or is he just an arrogant douchebag? To me, it just sounds like he's one of those know-it-all types, you know? And he has to criticize other people to make himself feel better. Be careful of people like that. Always criticizing. Oh, I'm a critic. Now, you're a fucking loser. That's what you are. Talking shit about other men all the time. Why don't you worry about yourself? So, fuck that guy. Keep walking your own path. Do what you gotta do. Get those fucking results. And outwork him. Outperform him. Simple as that. Hey Alex, what do you think about fasting during a cut? Let's say you do a 24-hour once a week on Sunday while keeping your calories at maintenance the other 6 days of the week. Monday, Saturday, would this be an effective strategy for cutting fat while maintaining as much muscle mass as possible? Well, fasting is muscle sparing, so I can see the benefits in terms of that. But if you're only doing a 24 once a week and then you're eating at maintenance for the other times, like, you're not going to experience amazing weight loss results. I don't see why. Like, it's not the most effective technique, okay? If you want a better technique, eat a calorie deficit on those other days, and then fast on the weekend. Do a 48-hour fast. You'll get much more out of that. Or do some 48s and 72s every week, every 2 weeks, you know, and then just eat normally the rest of the time. That'll give you much better results. A 24 is really not that much. I mean, you got guys maintaining their weight on an OMAD routine, 23 and 1. So 24 hours is really, it's not enough of a fast if you ask me. 48s and 72s is where it's at. 24 is not enough, my friend. So I would say do that once a week or whatever. Yo, Alex, do you soak and rinse your lentils, peas, and beans before cooking? Well, I soak all of my beans except for lentils because apparently you don't have to. But I will rinse them out. But that's why I like lentils too. They're more convenient. You just shove them in and they cook real fast. And I like the red lentils in particular because they cook stupid fast. Okay? And it acts as a nice little filler to your meal. So you can add lentils and rice and maybe tofu to go on top of it with some vegetables. Like, you're getting a lot of good stuff out of that. So lentils, I don't soak the night before, but chickpeas, black beans, all that good stuff, yes, you pretty much have to. Unless you're getting it out of a can, right? But even there, I tend to rinse it. Hey Alex, should I go to failure if doing full body twice a week? You could. The thing is, full body twice a week is so good on recovery that you can get away with certain things that may not be the best for recovery, okay? So theoretically, you could go to failure on much of those sets, but it's not something that I typically advise. I'm going to say go to failure when you feel like it. Use a common sense approach, but most of your sets, you should have at least a rep or 2 left in the tank. Don't go to extreme failure. Like, if you're doing a full-blown, full-body workout, don't go to failure on every single set. Just do it on the sets that count. You know, so let's say you're going for a 5x5 and your last 2 sets, you got to fail on the 5th rep. To me, that's perfectly acceptable. But if you have to seriously fail on every single set, that's not something I really enjoy, okay? And also, I would say the higher the percentages, the greater chance that you'll hit failure. Singles, doubles, and triples, you might experience that more frequently, okay? Because it's just very grindy as a whole. But I would say some of your sets should be done to failure. Some should not be. Simple as that. Hey Alex, I just started my first 9-to-5 job. It's really more like a 7-to-6 because of traveling on crowded public transportation. It makes it difficult to work out and eat properly because of frequent overtime. Feel too tired to go to the gym at night because I just want to sleep so I can be less tired the next day. What can I do until I find a better job? Now this may sound very strange, but I'm going to recommend nonetheless. You take public transportation, right? And it's pretty crowded? Okay. Why don't you do push-ups while you're in the metro? As crazy as that sounds, it's not illegal. You're allowed to do that. You'll get some strange looks, but it's totally doable. So you can do calisthenics while you're going home. Or maybe every hour you could do a set of push-ups. There's options. Or during your lunch break, you can hit a mini little workout like that, okay? And then, of course, I'm going to say, even if you feel tired when you get back, still, you want to go to the gym, man. Don't make any excuses. Even if it forces you to sleep a little bit less, even if you're more tired, the work has to be done. And if you really want this bad enough, you will go to the gym. Trust me, you will, okay? Even if you feel like garbage. Another option, by the way, is to wake up a little bit earlier. So wake up 1 hour earlier, go to the gym, okay? Then you could shower, have a little meal, go to work, and then when you come back, straight to bed, you're good. So you can either start the day off with the training and perhaps even empower yourself in that way. You can also do the grease and the groove like I mentioned before, or come back from work in this tired, fucked up state, and you still go to the gym. You get ready, you pack your bags, you do it, whether you feel like it or not. And a good technique for that is take a little nap, all right? What you can do is, on public transportation, sleep it out, close your eyes for the entire time. You'll feel much better. I used to do this a lot, okay? So take a little nap on the public transportation, close your eyes, chill out, you know? When you get home, have a coffee, go straight to the gym. And you're going to sleep very well that day. But it's all about getting that habit in and not making excuses, doing what you have to do, okay? So I understand that right now you're working a lot and it's draining mentally and physically, but you have goals, right? You have fitness goals, strength goals, size goals. Well, go ahead and make your dreams become a reality. Alex, my question is, what's your thoughts on an athlete deciding to take roids to become a better player and make money from playing? If you're a professional athlete, and I mean a serious level athlete, where you're on TV and shit, you're probably going to be on roids. Most of them are enhanced. So if you feel like taking that next step, I don't really have a problem with it because all your competitors are doing the same thing, okay? And if you think that sports are clean, you're a little bit delusional, my friend. These amazing athletes you see are not natural, okay? And if you want a good reference for that, watch the documentary Bigger, Faster, Stronger. So I don't really have an issue with the best of the best taking roids. I do have a problem, though, with recreational lifters doing it. I don't think you need to go that far. The drugs should be reserved for a very small percentage of the population, okay? And in my ideal world, call it my little paradise that would never exist, athletes will be 100% clean. I find that more inspiring, and it's something that I personally relate to. And I just prefer it. I prefer natural strength. I don't give a fuck how much you can lift when you're taking a bunch of roids, because even if you work hard, even if you eat a lot, and you do everything right from a training standpoint, I can't get the thought out of my mind that you're there because you took a bunch of drugs. Like, where would you be without them? For me, it's like, even world record strength. The fact that you're doing it in an enhanced state, I don't care. I really don't. Like, yeah, you're a beast. Congratulations, but I don't give a fuck. You're on steroids. You're on all kinds of shit. Get off and see where your performance really is. So to me, natural strength will always be more impressive. I consider a 400-pound natural bench to be more impressive than a 500 or even 600 roided bench. Call me delusional, but that's how I feel. I like naturals. That's what gets me going. That's where I get the fire, okay? Like, to me, a natural pulling 700 pounds is more impressive than a guy doing 900, but he's on a bunch of roids, okay? That's my mentality. I'm an elitist when it comes to this shit. I'm very biased towards naturals. However, for the best of the best, the elites, they're going to be on drugs nonetheless, so I don't really care what they do. Alex, there's an old Steve Shaw video saying beginners and intermediates running concurrent programs should select general exercises and cycle them instead of focusing on weaknesses because everything is a weakness. What's your view on this matter? I would agree with that, except for maybe intermediates. So if you're a novice running a concurrent routine, the worst thing you could do is make everything complicated, because that's when false accusations come in. That's when people start blaming concurrent, when in fact it was the novice lifter's own fault for not being smart, for doing shit that they didn't need to do. Okay, and this is the pitfalls that I see in a lot of these guys, man. That's ego lifting. When you're doing stuff that is completely ahead of your level right now. Like when I see novices doing Z press with double bands, why the fuck are you doing that? Or they're using crazy advanced exercises every single week. It's like, why? Keep the exercises basic. Do your regular bench press, do your pause bench, you know, stuff like that, little tweaks. So I 100% agree that novices using a concurrent routine should keep it basic in terms of exercise selection, including sets and reps. I don't want novices doing 10 by 10 on a volume day. You don't have to fucking do that. Keep it simple. 3 sets of 8 to 12, maybe 5 sets of 10 at the absolute max. But seriously, a lot of dudes, they're trying to train like advanced lifters when they're not at that level yet. So I 100% agree with Steve that novices should keep the exercise selection basic, including the sets and reps. Now, in terms of intermediates, I still agree a little bit, but in my opinion, they could add a little bit more stuff. Like this is where you could start benching with bands, for example. You do that when you're intermediate. That makes a lot of sense. Speed benching with bands, you know what I'm saying? Or even max effort with bands. So I think intermediates have a lot more room for experimentation. You could do way more stuff, okay? You could run a classic West Side system, for example, as an intermediate lifter, and you'll make great gains, even if you're rotating movements on a frequent basis, and they're rather different. But again, it doesn't have to be stupid complicated. The way I see it is like, use the exercises that work for you. If you're still making gains from the pause bench or the close grip bench, keep doing those. Keep that in your rotation. If you're stalling from that, maybe add some dead bench or some regular pin presses. So it's not just about being beginner or intermediate. It's your individual progression with specific exercises. Everyone differs a little bit in this regard. If you are a beginner and start training for 3 years, but you did not train seriously for 2 years, by not following a program, doing exercises wrong, no mind muscle connection or whatever, will you still gain a lot of muscles if you start training seriously 4th and 5th year? Yes. It doesn't matter what your starting point is. If you never trained properly before, you have tons of room for growth. This is very common where people might be lifting for 3, 4, even 5 years, running these terrible routines with no form of progression. But then you put them on a basic novice routine, and next thing you know, they're making gains on a workout-to-workout basis. They thought that they had plateaued because of their genetics, but in reality, it was just a programming issue. So this is very common. I would say most gym bros, most recreational lifters in general, are still novice lifters. And like I said, it's because of the training program. So the way I see it, doesn't matter how many years you've been lifting for. If you still have novice level strength, if you haven't made those newbie gains yet, well, guess what? You can still acquire them. It's just based off time is not the way to view things. It's based off your own individual progression. So if you trained wrong for all these years, but now you're finally doing things right, you're eating properly, you're training properly, you've educated yourself, you know what works and what doesn't, I don't see why you would fail. So if you trained for 5 years before, horrible progress, but now you're doing it right, well, maybe now for the next 5 years, you're going to get amazing gains. Put on more muscle and strength than you ever thought possible. So don't stress, my friend. What other variations of the Jefferson deadlift can I do? Well, you could alternate the stances. You could change the grip placement, the foot placement, the torso angle. You can do it off low blocks, high blocks, in a rack, all the various pin heights. You could do it with chains. You could do it blocks and chains. You could do it in a rack with chains. You can do it with bands, so speed pulls, you know. This is especially useful with a platform, you know. You can do it with all kinds of different styles. You just have to be a little bit creative. You can do pause Jefferson deadlifts if you choose to go that route. Hell, you could even do it off a deficit if you're able to elevate yourself. So it's just about being a little bit creative, my friend. All right, last question of the week. Maybe it's stupid and obvious question, but what do you think is better, Rubberbanditz or EliteFTS for bands? Well, I never heard of the Rubberbanditz brand, but what I can tell you is that most of them are pretty much the same. All you got to do is look at the dimensions of the bands. Look at the width and length. Okay, typically it's going to be 41 inches in length, and the width will vary according to the band tension. What I recommend is go on the Rogue Fitness website or EliteFTS, look at the specs and compare it to this rubber band specs. Okay, and if they're pretty much the same, well, you know what you're working with. Now, in terms of bands, I recommend mini bands, monster mini bands, and light bands. That's all you really need. And in some cases, even the micros might be beneficial, although I don't have them myself. But they're probably a good idea to use. So those are the 3 bands I recommend. And it doesn't matter what company you're getting it from. And look at the reviews, man. So go on Amazon, see what people are saying about it. You know, go on YouTube, find out if there are review videos on it. So to me, there shouldn't be a big difference. I use Rogue Fitness, and I've heard that they're exactly the same as EliteFTS, all right? And the West Side bands are probably the same too. So it doesn't matter. Just look at the specs, all right? So with that said, that's all we got for today's Q&A. Post some more questions down below, and I'll talk to you all next week.